much to say, but as we head back onto the stage, as the lights go down, as ready for game 2 in general, we need to see a little bit more out of Weibo Gaming, because the last game was not it, you know. You'd think with a coaching team that includes the likes of Daney, who is a very prolific coach of the last few years, I think perhaps a little bit more consistency would be available, but it really has felt like in Light we trust, and last game was kind of never given an opportunity to do anything.
A lot of mid lane bans coming out, so Xiaohu is not going to get Nico or Karma. He's banned, well, they banned away the Nico and the Ahri. I wonder if Xiaohu can even go towards the Annie, and now that the Ahri matchup is gone, it feels like that is the matchup where that champion is largely being played. So big change up in the mid lane matchup. A lot of lane pressure picks left up for both sides of the map though.
Renata off the table in the first round to pick someone called Crisp. Is very good at the Renata and has been struggling, as we said. It's one of those more melee-focused champions. The Tahm Kench was actually pretty good from him. Some clutch devours and stuff, but it wasn't game-winning either. Baiting now something like a Varus first pick. I'll note the Smolder and the Senna, both still available, both so high priority, but let's see what the actual lock-in is. Varus, once upon a time, very strong indeed, but instead it's just a blind pick, first pick, Renekton.
I don't know about that one, folks. CDZ got absolutely crushed in game 1 through laning phase, and he didn't have a great team fight really in that game either. I wonder if it's just saying, look, we don't want to give away our hand and just say this doesn't change our composition that much. Bertel has been one of the better performing top laners too. You're giving him counter pick towards that top side of the map. You're potentially giving Kepler and Jinzhao a strong laning bot lane of their choice as well. They pass over the Varus and they go towards the Kalista instead. And now Light and Chris will have to deal with one of the most dominant bot lane champions in the LPL.
Oh yes, see what they want to lock in alongside it, whether they want to make it the support pick right now, or whether they do want to potentially take this opportunity to counter pick top lane, knowing that it's already likely to be the Renekton unless we start to see something really mad happening like the flex into the mid lane, but instead it's an early lock-in of the Rumble. Of course, if this was life on the team, it could be a Rumble support still, so you never know, especially with the Kalista locked in. It does sometimes allow and unlock some slightly more unusual bot lane support options. Response from Weibo Gaming. Currently looking at the Varus, and it will be locked in.
So, 2 lane dominant champions locked in after they kind of slipped through the bans in favor of mid lane bans instead. Xiaohu goes towards Talia. It's another roaming pick. It's one which he's occasionally had good games on. Honestly, I feel like he's really struggled to have impact on this one as well. And now Haichao on the other side. You can maybe look to either outrange with another kind of mage. You can also look to play something more aggressive. Hovering the Azir. I'm pretty sure that Azir is still disabled, by the way. I'm pretty sure it's disabled until playoffs. It's been hovered. Pretty sure it's unable to be picked, though. And instead will be Tristana, which has been a big pick for Haichao. Honestly, it's been a big pick for Xiaohu as well. The thing is, Talia stops you jumping in at certain points, but you only have it up so much at the time. You lose out a wave push a lot of the time, so let's see Tristana as well. And if Tristana hits level 2 first, before you get access to your E, you can even lose early lane as well, as you kind of get rolled over with the explosive charge.
Yeah, exactly that. It'd be difficult to manage, and of course, actually, at once upon a time, it was a big Xiaohu special. Actually, he was a big Tristana player once upon a time, so now you've got the double AD carries alongside the Rumble. Your ability to get shove is very, very high indeed, but you're now going to need a little bit of frontline or ways to empower these AD carries, or the pick and burst of Weibo Gaming could prove a little bit difficult to manage.
Okay, so looking through to second round of draft, likely losing stuff like the Xin Sao. The Vi is already gone. It wouldn't surprise me if a lot of the other kind of easy access engaged champions are going to go down, because they combo up very well for Weibo for the side of the Talia. But then on the side of LGD, the stuff like the Rumble, of course, needs a little bit of setup. So the Maokai gone from the Rumble makes a lot of sense. The Viger away from the Talia also really seems to be on point.
There comes the Poppy and the Vi, 2 very good options to manage a Kalista and a Tristana, because they just get so much easier target access and kind of deny the hops in the way that normally keeps those champions a little bit safer. So I understand those bans. On the other side, the Maokai, of course, kind of fallen away from the high priority it was right at the beginning of the split. It's still very obnoxious here in terms of denying some of these picks. It's very good with things like Kalista. Meteor's played a little bit in the jungle. Xin Sao is gone, which is one of those primary early fighters that also acts as that kind of pseudo frontline, because Crescent Guard is insane. Volibear being hovered and has been an option recent months.
Meteor does have a wider champion pool than Xiaohao has been showing right now, and he has played stuff like the Kindred and stuff like that. It goes towards the Volibear all the same. I think Xiaohao probably likely to go towards something like the Lee Sin now again, just because it's comfort for him and it allows you to contest early game. Alongside that, though, you have the potential, well, you need to lock in a support against the Callista. It's quite hard to lane against, there's a lot of your melee supports, but Crisp going towards it again. I have to say, I will keep repeating this, Crisp on melee supports has not been it. He has been a ranged support connoisseur, he's won a lot of games on them. Going towards the Alistar, it's hard into stuff like the Callista. It can be quite hard into stuff like the Rumble later on as well, because you can get poked out for free. LGD have a chance to really punish Crisp on this Alistar, which might just get decked in lane.
Xiaohao goes back towards the Lee Sin. Had an awkward game on it the first time. Got a few kills, but a number of critical Qs that went a little bit wide. And Lee Sin is always one of those champions that either looks very invisible or absolutely oppressive, depending on how good your button presses are, frankly. This time around, though, it'll be Rel locked in on the other side. It's likely going towards that support. You've already got a very scary dive combo here of the Rumble and the Volibear and the Rel with all the follow-up behind it.
And the thing with the Rel is that in the past, Alistar and Rel nullified each other. Now Rel is quite good into Alistar because you used to be able to just cancel out the Rel combo. Now you lead with a Q, and the Q stuns you, and then you get comboed onto afterwards. So Alistar is CC'd for a lot of the time when you want to be kind of reacting to that combo. So Rel, on the whole now, actually better into that champion than it used to be in the past. So Light and Crisp need to be careful of that one, as Jinzhao on the Rel could potentially cause them some issues.
And with many lanes of shove, many lanes, Callista, Tristana, Rumble, and then a Volibear and a Rel, your ability to pick a tower and dive it ad infinitum. Very difficult for Weibo to manage. Of course, you have got yourself the Alistar, the Lee Sin, the Taliyah, solid anti-dive options in and of themselves, and a bad roaming core to try and match what Weibo, LGD are doing. But how easy is that going to be when likely you're going to be corralled under your towers in the early game? A lot on the Lee Sin to be in the right place at the right time and mirroring where that Volibear is going to be.
So what that means is, for Weibo, it is about execution. It's about gameplay. They haven't come out with an outdraft. They haven't come out saying, yes, we've definitely given issues in the drafting phase. It is about play, and they couldn't show that in game one. So Weibo, they have to step up to the plate, but then again, the team, as we always say, consistently inconsistent. They will always roll the dice. They'll always show us, sadly for them, different levels of play. They did lose themselves a rare game one. They very typically win at least the first game in a series. They don't even win that one this time, as we head into game two to see if they can even up the series.
So there's Meteor here. He might be finding himself in a bit of an awkward spot. Will avoid a thing resembling the threaded volley. What a great name that is as well. I really enjoyed that one. As Meteor starting with the Sky Splitter, not a surprise on the Volibear. It's normally a very good option for him. It's shields onto you, alongside DPS in AoE onto things like Raptor Camps. Feels pretty good.
So, a couple of wards being used to try and spot out early paths. Xiaohao and Meteor, you did say already, it's kind of, the early game is very much about, can Xiaohao be where Meteor wants to be in the early game, especially with the potential of pushing lanes. It is on where this Lee Sin can get himself onto the map to match it. They're not going to get themselves early wards into the jungle start though. They've got, LGD have themselves a defensive ward on that Raptors, which we saw put down earlier as well. So LGD, I think they're pretty happy right now with how the information game is going very early on for first clear.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. They're going to be managing that one pretty well. You can see it'll be a Raptor start from Xiaohao, it'll be the red buff start from Meteor, and it does feel like we have seen less and less junglers require or call for a leash in the jungle. The laners get on with the business of laning.
Especially when you've got kill lanes. It's very, very hard to go away from that. The flash in level one.
The moment you say it, the moment LGD looked for the all-in, Light immediately chunked to 20% HP. And LGD gained control of the lane.
And they trade so hard that the streaming buffers briefly. Light, heal down.
Check.
Has himself has that pot down, heal down, goes back and immediately regens HP. He can't, of course, he hasn't hit a single minion, he doesn't have any gold to spend, so this Rel into the Alistar, as we said, hey, it's actually quite hard to stop him from doing what he wants to do. Jinzhao actually starts with the W, goes into his unmounted form, mounts up and gets the targeted auto, which you can't cancel. As soon as that auto attack animation is through, the CC comes through. So Kepler, Jinzhao, doing a good job so far to put some pressure on the bot side of the map and put Light, the carry of Weibo, come what may, into a bad spot.
Exactly that. And away we come to looking at this lane. Volibear clearing out his top side, moving towards the other. As Lee Sin, interestingly, full clears bot side, resets for a dagger or a sword, and then looking to lane gank.
We've seen this a couple of times. I'm trying to remember who else did it. It might have been Kanavi. I'm trying to remember who else did this, but we've seen it once or twice. Meteor, though, going to help the wave crash towards bot side. Xiaohao will be here to respond.
Yeah, it's a good read as Meteor's around him. Xiaohao off vision for now. You can see great toggle from the observers to show that the Lee Sin is an unknown quantity. This dive, if it is about to turn into that, could turn very ugly indeed for LGD.
So they should see the jungle pet. They see him now. Are they going anyway? Yes, they are.
The three-man pulverize into the headbutt away. Meteor will thundering smash onto Xiaohao. And actually, yes, they deny the dive, but they don't actually manage to keep people locked in the tower to try and get a kill themselves.
Yeah, exactly. They don't really manage to get the kill back. And it feels like actually with Sky Splitters as well from Volleyball, you can stop people from recoiling on the turret. Xiaohao's flash, but he might once again be in trouble.
There's the flash. Pulverize headbutt onto Kepler, now flashes away himself. Crisp trying to be as obnoxious as possible. The double hail of arrows puts a lot of damage as the Shattering Strike comes on through. Wait for the potential Q to come through from Xiao, who's waiting on his time. Lands it onto the volley where the Sky Splitter comes on through. And Crisp, for all that we've been talking about his perhaps lack of success on the Melee Champions, pulls off some very slick Alistair combos there.
And Xiaohao is the one which comes out on top this time. So, LGD, they don't get themselves that bot lane dive after Kepler and Jinjiao had a great level 1 to make sure that Light was in trouble. It's still a good early laning phase for them, but it should have been so much more. Xiaohao, savior of Weibo in the early game. Birdle uses his Ignite early once again in the lane. You can see it's pretty much permanently on cooldown in this lane. The ZDZ going to be forced to teleport back under turret.
Also call it out. The fact that Kepler blows both summoners in that bot lane fight. CDZ hit with foot flash forwards. Good God, Birdle's going to get it anyway! Does so! First blood! The turret shot's not quite there as a scrap shield comes along. Xiaohao is on the other side of the map, of course. Lands another harpoon. Does a lot of damage back. Not quite enough. I wondered with the Flame Spitter whether Xiaohao might be in a spot of bother, but of course with the Iron Will, the healing's enough to keep Xiaohao topped up and claiming that kill back.
One of the bonuses here is that the kill doesn't go to ZDZ. If he'd executed or something, that would have been different, but still, first blood gold over to Birdle, only the assist gold over to ZDZ. Birdle comes back with tier 2 boots built up completely. He's going to be absolutely wrecking that laning phase now, and ZDZ really not having the easiest time of it. It's been a bit of a hallmark of Weibo over the last year, depending on the top laner of these Renekton games going awry. Even the Shy was not immune to that one and felt like it was better on some of the other champions there. But Birdle really, again, showing why we do view him as one of the better top laners in the LPL, despite the fact that LGD are a 3-10 team.
We'll note as well that Birdle returns to lane, and actually the level 6 comes through from ZDZ first because of course he got to clear out the wave and Birdle was dead, so value of the teleport coming on through at least a little bit there. Dominus is to get some things.
On top side, he needs to get level 6 like immediately. How much XP has he got? Might get quite close.
He should get it off, and I think another minion, maybe 2. The Flame Spitter's not quite there, he can't quite do it in time, the stun's there. Oh, Birdle, you saw what he was thinking, but he could not claim that last minion to get the equalizer.
And ZDZ and Xiaohao, they do it in time on the mirror of that as well. They managed to claim that timing. And Haichao not there to respond, teleports in to collect the wave. So Weibo all through Xiaohao get themselves onto the board early. This Lee Sin has been the difference. He has been there for the kills. And LGD now, they're the ones which have to stare up at an early game gold deficit.
Birdle, I think, will be kicking himself a bit there. Went out of lane to throw that ward into the grub, so I had an idea about where the jungler was. But then was like, I just need one more minion. One more minion. I have level 6 and this dive looks so much more ugly for them. And it doesn't quite happen. And credit to Weibo Gaming for finding the angle, making it happen, and crashing a very large wave.
Okay, so early game plans have been laid to waste for LGD. What can they do next? They have the pushing lanes. They have themselves a strong one-item power spike as well. They're still very strong in the early game, but with plays like this going wrong for Birdle, it means that maybe this top side won't be as good for them. See, again, look at this in the bottom left. That's the XP counter. How close does he get? That cannon would have got it. One minion there would have gotten it. I think Birdle just doesn't quite understand how much danger is in. If he stepped up for an auto attack onto the cannon, he would have got the level 6. He would have got himself that level up for the heal, and maybe the ultimate afterwards. He probably dies anyway, but maybe he could take one with him.
Yeah, exactly that. And credit to the observers there for keeping up the experience bar, because that was the core of that replay. Big moment there for Weibo Gaming, and a really frustrating knife's edge that Birdle unfortunately slips off the wrong side of. Puts himself on the way, down 1 and 2 now, and actually, because of Kepler losing both those summons, hasn't really got the shove as cleanly on the bot side as earlier. Of course, the early dragon still went the way of Meteor and LGD, and this is a Callista team. If you can start snowballing those Drakes early, feel pretty good about it. Another dragon spawning in just over 2 minutes. It would be a very early second dragon, looking around 10-minute mark for that. That is couple minutes ahead of schedule at the very least.
We settled down a little bit after it feels like Xiaohao just decided to kick up the ante and make sure that LGD couldn't make plays for free. So, what are we doing with the next couple of backs? We have Tier 2 boots on bot side for Kalista, level 6s, hit there too soon enough. You can see that actually Light very far behind in his XP, which is, he's about a full level behind Kepler. Xiaohu has level 6 up, he can maybe start roaming and making Birdle's life a little harder.
Gonna try and get the dive. Of course, there is that one control ward thrown down to
connect into Lear.
but it's connecting to Lear, exactly. A flash isn't available, but a slice certainly is, and that could prove Birdle on the wrong roll of this one. Tries to scrap the other way, seismic shove backwards, can throw down an equalizer, maybe just about alive for now, and Birdle gets away with it. The Weaver's Wall into a threaded volley, and Birdle goes down again, but now this potentially leaves the bot side out to dry.
Well, I don't think it does, because the cross map is there from Xiaohao. It's a 3v3, and Haichao would be the one to come down. And with you've got the level 6 Alistar ult too, there is no opening on this bot side. So well played from Weibo. They use their mid lane Talir to be basically a second jungler, goes topside, makes the play. It's kind of a rookie-like play, doesn't even use the ultimate as in rookie the player. Now we have Xiao here as well. Again, Weibo countering the plays of LGD.
Xiaohu now roaming, can maybe look to come on in. Crisp goes in for the headbutt and the pulverize, but Xiaohu now in danger as they go onto Light, who immediately has to flash away himself. The shove back, but there's the Fate's call to keep Jinzhao safe. And away LGD go. How much further do Weibo want to go? Crisp about to have his cooldowns back up. Xiaohu can maybe go over the wall, and does indeed have kick, but will not need to pull out the Rage of the Dragon quite yet. And so LGD cannot find anything bot side. They get a flash off of Light. It's really all they find down there.
Yeah, much better early game from Weibo, and once again, a lot of it is through Xiaohao, who ends up shadowing bot lane to make sure that LGD only get themselves a bit of a wave into that bot lane, as opposed to an actual big play. Xiaohu, much better game from him too. He had a pretty crap game 1 on the Annie.
Yeah.
Really struggled to land big ultimates and get himself big roams. So LGD, they are now putting themselves into a very different situation from game 1. Game 1 was so easy after they started getting all of those kills and getting so much gold in hand. This time, feels like they need to really work for those team fights that they were running away with so easily in game 1.
Dangerous indeed as Meteor, this bush off to the side. Proves there might be something, about 10 seconds till the dragon spawns. Jinzhao hit with the seismic shove. It's a huge amount of damage, not enough in the inventory right now for Xiaohu. He's down a fair amount of CS from his timely roams. Looks like LGD are the ones in the river first.
Weibo are there too, though, with Crisp's ult available, so it's kind of a bit of a much for muchness. They're going to force each other away. Level advantage for Kepler, as we said before, but Light just hits over to his ultimate. That's one of the big bonuses of LGD, zoning off Light from minions. Means that he's just not as able to kind of make these early game plays with the ult. Now he does have it. Let's see what Xiaohu can do. Ult not quite available to rearrange the terrain.
LGD trying to fight for that vision control. Can't get the last order on that control ward, whereas Weibo managed to force their own wards into place. So in the end, neither team willing to start off the dragon quite yet. Instead, back to shoving waves, back to maybe waiting a second or two to give it another go.
I think particularly with Jinzhao not having flash and not having the Kalista ultimate, they don't really want to fight right now. Chris does have flash. They need to be kind of careful walking up and stacking like that. There's every chance that things can go nasty. ZDZ has a full more of Malmortius. He does win this trade now, I'm pretty sure.
He does. There's the first Electro Harpoon, so a little bit of that magic resist immediately taken through. Conqueror stacked. Flame Spitter coming on through, though, makes this one a bit difficult. Actually, the trade back from Birdle is okay.
Yeah. So he ends up hitting 2 empowered Electro Harpoons onto him, which means that you basically lose, well, once it's actually ranked up. Right now, it's something like, I think per stack, it's probably up to about 30% magic resist. It can go up to like 60% magic resist shred with the empowered stuff. Birdle realizes he's in a bit of a trouble on top side, pops the ult as well.
Moore's down, Meteor's here, can throw down a smite for a stun, gets a big Q heal back. Oh, the Sky Splitter! Flashed away from Birdle to prevent the last auto, and they do claim the kill. Will cost them the dragon on the bottom side, but LGD make it work.
Close run stuff. ZDZ, a better game from him in game 2, but sadly, it's still not able to escape the Death Chamber himself, even with the Moore early on, as we said. Hey, actually, Rumble's really nasty at shredding a lot of that magic resist. Xiaohu goes back, he gets his first item, teleport out onto the map. It's just that Seraph's, well, the Archangel Staff right now. It's not transformed into the Seraph's Embrace, and LGD, at least they get something back and make sure that Birdall is not just kind of left alone in a top lane island. It has been a weirdly top lane pressure focus because of the matchup there. I think this Rumble is kind of changing the way that we're seeing this top lane matchup. Typically, you just kind of leave it alone with stuff like the Aatrox and the Udyr and the Kansei. With the Rumble with Ignite, you can't really do that.
The problem that LGD are facing, though, is that things like that kill, things like some of the early roams from Xiaohu have meant that, for once, Weibo Gaming this time around managed to get a lot of these early objectives. They will be the ones with the 6 grubs with a dragon to break the stacking on the other side from LGD. Yes, Meteor's towards his top side, but I think we might still have the potential of a 2v2 up here. This could get very dicey for ZDZ. Potentially LGD as well, depending on how Xiaohao gets on in. Constructed Dragon's Rage, ZDZ flashing away. Xiaohao here will prevent any further engagement. I don't think you want to kick.
Yeah, you have Xiaohu coming up though.
Oh, there's a teleport in response on the inside. ZDZ getting some healing, still doesn't have the dominance. The more pops again, but he's likely dead to right. They'll claim another kill. Meteor gets that one. And the teleport works, and LGD win out in a sort of 3v3.
Now, Weibo think they were going to have their mid laner there first because they have the Taliyah ult, but Haichao pulls the teleport and it is quicker to get to the real meat of the matter. So LGD once again finding a win through their top lane Rumble, who goes back and buys a Liandry's now. Huge item spike for Birdall, who has been, we keep saying about this, one of the better top laners in the league. He was a bit inconsistent in an early split, but he has really had himself some good moments too. This time, though, it's less about Birdall as an individual, much more about the combo yet again. Great point-and-click CC. You can see that Meteor on the Violet Volley bet, pretty tanky, really good at target access compared to something like a Lee Sin, who can struggle a bit more with that. Even with Xiaohao getting the kick and the knock-up, that's about as good as you can get there. Sadly, they just get teleported on and they die.
I'm not actually sure when Meteor's models went through Birdall with the slowdown. I think it missed the Rumble, so it didn't get the additional kick-through damage.
I'm pretty sure it did. It did. It's just the calculation was wrong.
Well, fair enough. I'll have to go back and look at that one. But either way, it doesn't end up leading to a fight win at the very least. LGD be in a 4v4 as the top lane is unable to join this one. Considering actually a lot of the gold for LGD is in Birdall's hands, might make this 4v4 a little bit dicier. Got a Sundered Sky and a Kraken Slayer to work with on your mid jungle at the very least.
About to say, that really changes the equation, not having that teleport. Crisp walking up, again, has flash, has ult. He can really start fights if he wants to. That's why he's positioning like this. He is the front line right now.
Sky Splitter comes crashing on down. This time LGD managed to defend their vision, which proved problematic the last time both teams squared off in the river. Didn't lead to any real fights, but the vision control going down meant LGD kind of had to back away, especially lacking some of his key moments. ZDZ slices, dices with that blast cone as well. The turnaround damage is pretty good from Birdall with the overheat, but towards that turret, Birdall has to go. The Dominus pop gets a big heal back to ZDZ. Equalizer onto the wave to clear it out. Birdall a little bit afraid about where Weibo Gaming are on the map.
Yeah, I think he's afraid that Xiaohu could have just gotten himself onto the top side of the map, or maybe you could have had an Alistair on the roam, and indeed, that's exactly where Crisp is. Now, Jin Zhao on top side, though, will be fine. So Birdall burns his ultimate, chooses not to burn his Ignite. Maybe you could have gone for a harder trade, but again, you just don't know whether you'll have the numbers advantage in a game like this, and you don't have the teleport from your mid laner this time around. While LGD are kind of ruminating about this top side play and what's going to happen there, they end up having Haichao actually get a bomb onto the tower potential. 2v2 in bot side there. Once again, Xiaohao really shadowing endangered lanes very well this game.
That was something pulled out in draft, right? It was like, look, with the fact there's lane shove everywhere and the volley bear being around to dive turrets, if Xiaohao isn't there, the snowball from LGD is pretty easy to execute, frankly, but he has been in the right places, has largely stopped that from happening. The game remains relatively even as a result. I'm still a little bit worried, of course, because into this mid-game, the volley bear, Tristana, Kalista, Rumble, all these things are still very, very scary, and the fact that on the other side, you've not snowballed yourself either. I'm not sure whether this has necessarily won the game from Weibo so much as prevented it from snowballing against them.
Yeah, it's not like you have infinite scaling champions, and particularly with stuff like, you know, the Buster Shot being able to keep range from stuff like the Renekton and the Alistair. If the front line of Weibo plays poorly in late game, there is no amount of scaling which will save them, because this composition from LGD very, very good at gunning down the front line, even through stuff like an Alistair ultimate. So Weibo, they need to play well now. They are within touching range of gold. That's good for them. They have themselves a strong Lee Sin. That is good. It's kind of hard for the Lee Sin to play out this game, but particularly I'm looking at Xiaohu on this Taliyah to be the anti-dash champion and be one of those burst X-Factor champions that can change the way this game goes.
The Archangels has morphed into a Seraph's Embrace. He's got himself a Haunting Guise as well. So this Taliyah going to have a little bit more DPS than the last time we saw the combo. Dragon started,
So,
but
Xiaohu
Kepler hasn't started stacking spears yet.
But Xiaohu has himself the ult. Where's he going to cast that? Every time it comes to this, watch out for that Weaver's Wall. Here comes the
Taken!
smites!
He even threw the Rend. Q smite from Lee Sin, too hard to beat. Weibo Gaming get themselves a second dragon and now begin to extricate themselves, get a shove onto Jin Chao. Brings the Rel down to about half HP. ZDZ pops the Dominus, Birdall backs away with a scrap shield. Now ZDZ in a dangerous position, needs to be afraid of the turret. Flashed on, dunked down, and LGD claim a kill. A little bit of an awkward retreat there from Weibo Gaming's top laner.
It's the ultimate coming in, due to the combo.
One back, and that was a good pick off from Light. And instead, even with the equalizer, cannot keep them alive. Now the shove onto the turret can begin. Remember, 6 grubs mean this turret does not stand long for the world. Another piercing arrow comes on through, and Weibo Gaming, despite losing their top laner, actually find the better end of the trade overall.
Partly because just Xiaohu on the Talia gets to combo up for multiple big plays. So Weibo get themselves the dragon, even though they were the ones against the Kalista Rend kind of smite combo. So Xiaohu once again making his impact felt in this game. But while all this happens, LGD do get themselves a trade of this bot lane turret. 6 grubs now for Weibo in this game, as you mentioned, as they were pushing the mid lane. They can do that towards top lane as well. So Xiaohu, much more competent game from him. The Annie last game was really not it. The Talia been much more comfortable for him. As now Weibo will get themselves 2 outer turrets in quick succession.
Okay, Birdall spots out Crisp. Jin Chao's here. Actually, how long have Weibo stayed? They went for the turret. They Weavers walled up for it, but it wasn't that low. They're going to be forced to seismic shove away. If that hadn't landed, I wonder how much more they could have got. They get a teleport out of LGD there, who clearly saw blood in the water.
I think realistically, with double flashes, that's all you can hope to get for even the end of that. So I wonder whether LGD even, like, overestimated themselves there. They definitely did in this replay. ZDZ, he pops the ult earlier and realizes, yeah, I don't want to go through the turret. The rest of the team is not there, though. But Meteor, just after ZDZ makes a positioning error, he makes a crucial on himself. CC into Talia combo. We said that Talia can be the X factor for this composition. Meteor disrespects it.
Could have turned a really nice play from LGD into one that cost them quite a lot, really. Mid lane turret, kills, dragon, all gone a bit wrong, but now a turnaround on the other side is Chris. Could be finding themselves a little bit soggy here. No one likes a soggy Crisp. He's about to fall down. Can't quite get it, and the salt and vinegar packet gets out alive.
And to say, these carbohydrates are here to burn. As he stays just at the end of his, I don't know, I was trying to fit like calorific intake. Look, well, I don't know. It's really hard to make things about this. Sometimes you surprise me, Sam.
Birdall needed to be there to find out. Because you generally burn them to find out exactly how many calories are in. He has to flash away from a crocodile on the other side. That's a dangerous calorific intake test.
ZDZ, again, actually really doing quite well in the individual 1v1. Had flash, forced it away from Birdall, so that's a free victory for him on that one. LGD, it's not been clean from them this time. It feels like when they don't have that early snowball, and hell, even in the last game, they were the team that were kind of stalling out into the mid and late game. They had to wait for kind of like one big cataclysmic moment. They couldn't really start fights well on their own. So this time, even without that gold lead, it's something which we need to pay attention to, because it feels like Weibo are kind of punishing LGD as they kind of mill around waiting for the play to come to them.
Just a little bit, of course. Still got to deal with the fact that the side lanes are going to be a little bit dicey, because this Tristana, yes, hasn't snowballed in the way that we often like to see Tristana do. And like, the way I've always viewed Tristana, at least over the mid lane Tristana errors we've seen over the last couple of years, is if Tristana snowballs early, gets to 2 items early, she's a terror. Yeah. Absolute monster, gets to shove every tower for free. No one can match her damage. She's so hard to deal with. Gets to levels early, so the draw a bead passive means her range gets increasingly obnoxious. If she doesn't, she kind of falls into that old Caitlyn trough of old, where you're waiting on that second item for a little while, you're not quite long enough range to threaten turrets safely, you're waiting on that third item where to really come back online, and I feel like Haichao's not in a bad spot, but it's going to be a quiet minute or two until at least a second item's complete for this Tristana.
I do really feel like in this game, well, he's going to get ulted on. See how much he can get away with the jump, gets stunned.
Oh, a little bit too greedy, gets shoved away, and brought up some of the potential fears of this Tristana. Buster shots one away, tries to get Xiaohu on the winner, but it's a 3v1. No real response, especially remember because Birdall, without the teleport, means if you can attack the global, he's going to win out a little bit more regularly than not. The other side, Birdall, caught up at his tier 2 this time around, is not having as easy a time in his ZDZ, who is actually this time forced to ult. Tudor doesn't have to burn anything. On the other side, though, the Baron has started.
And thing is, when you're going towards this now for a potential contest from LGD, you don't have a teleport from Birdle, as we've been saying, and you have to go through Crisp with ult. This Alistar is just really tanky on the front line. Even has himself Merc Treads to keep himself unlocked a little longer. Weibo, though, they peel off of that Baron and they say, okay, even with the Leandries, even with the on-hit Varus, we don't really want to mess with this one. They head away. So, Dragon has spawned, and means that with Weibo staying a little over long on the Baron, it means that they'll give up a Dragon now. That's kind of a macro mistake from Weibo, despite them getting that kill onto topside. The fact that they couldn't really force LGD towards the Baron loses them an objective, and it buys LGD probably more than they should have gotten in the last minute. That'll mean it's 2 Dragons even apiece, no early soul points. Means that there's no early soul win condition to really play around.
Yeah, and you look at Highchild's inventory and you suddenly realise perhaps why he stayed for that extra wave, it did buy him a Navori, which of course is a very important break point. Came in the course of his life, and you look at the other side, and Xiaohu 3-0, big part of this game going Weibo's way so far, finding his way towards what will likely be that Zhonya's third item. He's at least got the Seekers.
Yeah, Seraphs and Seekers, very strong combo, and just keeping yourself alive. Now, there is every chance you get 100% zeroed, or you get caught out in such a position that you can't really end up playing around. Xiaohu now shadowing the bot lane, as opposed to sonicking the mid lane. And,
that calls the top lane?
Yeah, that's the one. Well, I mean, with this Renex and the way it's going, yeah, they're definitely battle knuckle fighting. You need to be, oh my god, Hai Chao, you need to be so careful. That jumps forward, potential, he'd have to flash out of a combo now. 5 seconds left on it, that's dangerous stuff, dude.
Everyone's coming over, Xiaohu
jumps back up.
Don't know whether he knows how Xiaohu is there, should now be up, can be a little bit more careful of staying well away from that bush, knowing there might be someone in it, but now...
You've jinxed it now.
Oh, I know, I'm so nervous. The observers know what they're doing as well. Finally, Xiaohu reveals himself and proves Hai Chao's paranoia correct.
One thing I was going to say is Hai Chao in this game, is he just immediately teleports topside as he sees and forces it out from Xiaohu. That's kind of important, means that there's one global tool less to play with. He's not against an armor stacking Renekton or even from the Lee Sin or something like that. You know, there are tabbies on both of them, but it's not like you've got... You know, I mean, Renekton doesn't go that much armor anyway, but still, it's not like you're against a Frozen Heart on the enemy team. It's not like you're against, like, big armor items. So you don't care for even going towards the Lord Dominic's Regards later, well, this early into the game. You're very strong in the 2 items. Sometimes Tristana has to wait until the 3rd item, which, you know, we were talking about some of the kind of the trough moments. That's really when I feel like it hits him the worst. Hai Chao, he's been quite exposed on side lanes. He's getting away with this for now, but at least Meteor's here, but they need to be quite careful.
It does feel like Meteor, when he's had to be the one shadowing his side laners, it's not been quite as clean as the other way around, and Xiaohu proving what has always been his major strength. His ability to play around fog has been legendary for years, and yes, Hai Chao's being paranoid at best he can, but the reason he's paranoid is because they really are all out to get him, so he's got to be so careful.
It's not paranoia if it's right. That's just being careful. Weibo, though, they're the ones which are pushing up in pretty much every lane. They're getting vision into the enemy jungle. The gold advantage is, you know, it's creeping in Weibo's advantage, but at this kind of time mark, it's not necessarily the best. We are getting to the point where you have to start revising whether some of these champions will be useful or not. When you're particularly looking at the Volibear, I think that at this point, when you're into the on-hit, Varus will absolutely shred you. Very, very dangerous. You know, Blade, Rage Blade, which will start racking through the W passive is all very dangerous. But all spotted on vision. Weibo do have full knowledge of where they want to be, and ZDZ can start shuffling towards the spot turret. Against 6 grubs, very powerful for him.
The other thing is, of course, when you're looking at the... actually, ZDZ does have to slice away. With the Crypt Bloom complete, ZDZ's point of power in this lane gets a lot lower. Gets the Eclipse Shield briefly, beginning to run away, but Hai Chao's coming on down. Where is everyone else? They're on the Baron.
Hai Chao is going to be really late towards Baron. This is giving up that for free. It's a kill, but for what cost? You're not quick enough to get towards the Baron. It's a steal or nothing. Flash. Oh, what can Meteor do?
I'm going to try and get some damage. They're trying to keep him out. Crisp will not be able to prevent that one quite yet until he just gets headbutted away. And yes, it is just a Baron. It was well played by Crisp, who just body blocks Meteor. Can get nowhere near getting a flash in.
It's more than just the headbutt. It's the headbutt at first, and then the kick away from Xiaohao as well. So the jungle support duo of Weibo keeping Meteor completely away. He can immune through one of those CC by going unstoppable with his ultimate, but he can't do it throughout all of it. And he can't flash his way into the pit either. So, Weibo, they will definitely take 1 kill onto ZDZ. You're looking at that as 0 and 5, and you say, oh, ZDZ, what a bad player. This Renekton, fire this man. Bench him, get away with him. This was an important death. He's been doing really well at keeping Birdall down. He's at a point of power, and he's really starting to be a pressure point. We've seen these low KDA top laners do a lot of work in LPL. This split FPX and Shallow, they backdoor top esports for God's sake for that one. Weibo getting some value out of the Baron.
Ginger, but I don't know whether they want this. Weibo here was a 2-man. Didn't know where the Varus and the Taliyah were. Of course, Taliyah with the Weaver's Wall could always have joined from a little further away than perhaps you might otherwise have expected. Now, 2,500 gold in the lead are Weibo Gaming. They've got Baron to work with. They've yet to really get any waves truly shoved in. Crisp, a slightly dangerous spot here. Not again.
No ult right now.
Yeah, needs to be a bit afraid. The seismic shove goes wide. And actually, 8 seconds on Infernal Drake, and Crisp down to 20% HP.
Yeah, well, he has himself his ult again. If you can get a reset, LGD might struggle to find themselves a fight. You are going to Fog of War with that Taliyah and the Varus ult as well. Very difficult for LGD to claim territory. They don't have a flanking threat. Equalizer early, just try and buy their way into River.
Does do so. ZDC now on the flank, though, could prove problematic. Jinjar taken down about 10% HP. On the other side, Volibear eviscerated. HP means nothing into a comp like this, and Weibo Gaming pounce, throwing out all the DPS they can. Haichao nowhere really to go, flashes over the wall, just get pulled back with the seismic shot regardless, and Haichao claims his life. Now Birdell in the 1v5 falls apart. A triple kill to Light, who makes sure to snuff out LGDs.
This game was so different from the first one. The early game started clicking. The carries got themselves into good positions, and particularly Xiao Hao and Xiao Hu make you wonder, Xiao, where they were in that first game. They are very much online, not a death between them. ZDC, the only person on Weibo to have a death in this series as Weibo. If they win this one, it is huge for playoffs contention for them. LGD, this one would send them, I believe, out of playoffs if they lost it. It's a pretty harsh loss themselves.
Another shove back onto the Volibear, who looks like paper at this point in the game. Weibo Gaming, it was close until it really wasn't.
Just, you could see how much paper that Volibear was in that late game. Against the on-hit Varus, against the Taliyah, basically unplayable for Meteor. You have to snowball that game, and they couldn't successfully do so. LGD, sad times for them, and so we'll leave it there for Game 2. Thank you once again.